Hello YouTube! We got a patch. Just a couple of weeks after the big patch 2.0 that was revealed at the Blizzard Direct presentation, Blizzard is doubling down on progress on Warcraft 3 and brings us even more features and a lot of fixes. If you follow this channel, you have seen our PTR videos. PTR is the test server where we spend a lot of time testing and reporting on these new features. The main feature of patch 2.01 is hotkeys. And while hotkeys were implemented already in patch 2.0, I think that was rather an alpha version. Because this is how it looked like. We reported on it. They basically took everything that's in the world editor and threw it into the options, which is, let's be honest, not that great. It's been chaotic, it's been unstructured, and not that useful. Then they already improved it before and changed it to this one on the PTR. Look at this chap right there. So we finally got command cards. We got the enhanced features like inventory and F-key customization, but things were still very unstructured and the UI for this wasn't good at all. So now, as we reported on PTR, there is a lot more features that you can have here. And it's so clean. So what you get when you get to the hotkey section of your options is basically what you know from War 3 Champions if you use War 3 Champions. The factions are divided on the left-hand side, as well as neutral units for mercenary camps and dragon roosts, for example, and a general setting for your heroes and items. So you click on a hero, you see his command card, you can set the spells, you can set the commands. Those are global for every unit, and the spells, of course, for the specific hero. This goes for every unit, every hero, every building. Nothing's missing after hours and hours that we spent on PTR. So here at the general section, you can even set your F keys. This is important, for example, if you spend years and years opening a game up with a Death Knight, but due to meta, you have to go with a Lich first, but you still want him on his normal F key that you used for years, and then you can just switch it out. Inventory hotkeys can now be bound to letters on the keyboard, which is also great, as well as all the tavern heroes here, the merchant, the tavern, etc., and every single unit that you can possibly get in Melee. The big new thing after having a better UI and a better functionality and better usability is that these hotkeys are working live in a game. Previously, we changed our hotkeys with a text file. And if you changed a hotkey in that text file, you had to close Warcraft and open it up again. So here you see, for example, my worker has the build command on Y. And I go into the game and you see it is Y. So let me change that. We go to options, we go to hotkeys, we go to worker, and I change it to H for home. We save it, we go back, and my building hotkey is on H. This now for a modern game is a normal thing. For Warcraft 3, that's pretty revolutionary, and I did not expect them to implement these changes. Same for every other hotkey here, F2, F3, etc. Also the inventory hotkeys. I expected a good and clean graphical user interface. I did not expect the functionality of being able to change hotkeys live in-game without a restart of the map or without a restart of the game. This is great. Thank you for that, everybody. So there's still some stuff that can be improved with this hotkey system, because while there's a lot of good stuff in, and I recognize this as a 1.0 feature, I think there's still some stuff missing. As I said, you can put hotkeys to letters and numbers and some of the F keys, but you can't use dot, comma, caret. Any special character is not working. So for a future update, I would love to be able to select these keys as well. I would love to change modifiers. For example, Control, Alt, Shift. I would love to rebind my spacebar or maybe swap it with backspace. So all these core keys that at the moment we cannot change, it would be great to be able to. Also menu keys, F9, F10, etc. Why can't we change them? We should be able to change them. For especially inventory keys, I would like to change them to a combination of keys. For example, if I want to use my staff as a night elf, I would love to be able to hit Control Q instead of T or Y, because it's just on the quirk layout that I got anyway, just with a modifier. That is currently not possible. Same for any mouse buttons. I know a lot of night elves and human have their stuff on the thumb button on their mouse. This is currently not assignable either, similar to remapping the buttons. If we go back real quick to the actual game, you see that when I have a unit, my attack is on A, but it's the button position for R. So I would love to be able to swap this out with Patrol to just make it fit. Currently, there's no function to it, but the game should support it, so I would love to see that. Another feature that is already in the game, but is currently not usable outside of the grid command, is Quick Cast. What this would do is, if I select my hero and hit, for example, Holy Light, at the moment I have to hit the Holy Light button, then a left click. With Quick Cast, it would do the left click for me, as it is kind of smart, and it realizes, okay, there is a unit, this is what he wants to Holy Light, it saves me a click, and it would be great. But this is by far the best implementation of the hotkeys yet. They made great progress, great features. This is, after 22 years, finally a good looking and functional solution to hotkeys. And this is an important part because everybody is using hotkeys, from single player to custom game player to obviously melee players. Thumbs up for that great foundation. Next up is new skins. We reported on it already. We got a ghostly keeper and a ghostly archmage, as well as, yes, she's here. She's finally selectable. Good old Jaina has made her way into Warcraft 3 as an archmage skin. This is a bit odd because she is obviously not on a horse. So this is the first time that we have an unmounted archmage, although relatively small. There were some issues before, like the name not popping up. This is fixed. She didn't have a blizzard animation, but also that is fixed. So Jaina is now fully usable as a skin in Warcraft 3 for free.
I'll take care of it.
So some of you might have issues with readability, as because she looks very different as the Archmage, but you can still disable skins in gameplay, even though that is not 100% optional. Optional? Not 100% great, because I kind of want to use the skins, right? So we'll see where that goes in the future. Maybe some skins will be selectable and some not. But in general, more skins for free, always great, especially when it's for Classic and Reforged. They made more changes, and that is changes to the matchmaking, which is currently the biggest flaw of multiplayer Warcraft 3. The matchmaking in Battle.net is all over the place. It's the Wild West. You can meet top players like Hitman and Foggy, or you meet the bottom of a barrel. This is less than ideal. If you're unlucky, you also face these players on servers that are super far away from you and play them on 200 ping. War 3 Champions is definitely superior in that. To tackle that, and to have a bit more quality in the matchmaking, they say they prioritize ideal ping over MMR. The matchmaker's priority will be ping, then MMR, then after a long wait, it will try to match with anyone. We will continue to monitor this and make changes as necessary. This is hard to say if it's good or not after a couple of hours, but in general, this feels wrong. When the matchmaking was already so bad, it should give you more quality matches, more closer matches instead of ping, or ideally both, right? So we'll observe this as well as the developers and say if that was a good change or not. But gut feeling is this is a bit wild. Also, players will now lose more XP on a defeat. We'll also see if that fixes issues that are currently rampant on the multiplayer. Speaking of multiplayer, they revamped the UI and fixed a couple of stuff in the multiplayer. So you can see every element is now covered in the snow. Some of them, well, some others not so much. What I think is the best change in this multiplayer is the right-hand side channel user list. Because we reported on it when they brought back this multiplayer overlay, chat channels oftentimes felt very empty. There were 3 to 4 players in the list, and if you're with them or not doesn't really matter. Now the list is way bigger and it feels way more populated. Also, some system messages that were spamming the chat channel, like you queued for a one-on-one, you stopped queuing for a one-on-one, can now be disabled, and they should. They also brought levels back, which is of course a way to flex for you, so this is good. There's still an issue that you are displayed as part of W3 general channel without an indicator of numbers. There's multiple, we don't know how many, multiple channels with that name, and you can't really know in which one you are. So an indicator here in the future would be nice. They also worked on icons. I was a big hater on the icons when they were introduced in patch 2.0. They've been downscaled a bit from 512 to 256 because nobody needs big items like that, big icons like that. My pet peeve was always the green glow that appeared around certain icons, like the move command button on Q or the patrol button on R. This has now been fixed. It's good. Some icons still look a little wonky, but the direction is certainly the right one. Shout out for fixing most of the icons. With a lot of praise comes a little bit of criticism, because when the patch hit, and this is why this video is so late, when the patch hit on Tuesday, there was a lot wrong with it. I spent a lot of time on PTR, and these issues that appeared when the patch hit the live version didn't appear on the PTR. So it's not that the PTR wasn't tested enough, especially the hotkey system. Soul 8man and I spent hours and days nitpicking about the UI and the functions. And when the system hit the live patch, there were still bugs that weren't there before. This is odd. And with the patch 2.01, basically every single aspect of the game was broken for a while. Campaign saves, gone. One-on-one matchmaking threw you on maps like Friends, Golems in the Mist, gigantic 4-on-4 and FFA maps, but for one-on-one matches. How can that happen? The custom game list that you have in multiplayer was broken after your first match. So for every single custom game you want to play, you had to restart the client. The Jaina skin was the big feature next to the hotkeys, right? Was unselectable at first. The editor that the Hive people use had essential functions broken that caused a lot of maps to crash. LAN didn't work. The zoom reset button that you have on F5 threw you to a wrong value. You couldn't invite your friends to AT, and sound effects are acting up. So for a lot of these things, there was a hotfix one day later. But it was still 24 hours where the game wasn't really in a functional state. If you deliver a product in a bigger game, then the community would tear you apart. I think the community here in Warcraft 3 is pretty understanding and in general forgiving, but this happened with the release of 2.0 and this happens with the release of 2.01. So this is not an accident. There's a pattern that this keeps on happening. So I would love to see more quality assurance when the patch hits. Fixing things fast is nice, but not having to fix things is better. So that was patch 2.01. The big question is, of course, what is the content of the next patch? The focus here was hotkeys. I think it would be wise to focus on stability and performance. A lot of people want to play in classic HD mode with the new textures and with the new terrain, but the FPS are just abysmal. Plus, stability has always been an issue in Warcraft 3. I would love to see that. I would also love to see a shakeup of balance, because we haven't had that in a while and the current meta seems to be played through. And then, of course, the big question, what do you want to see? What is something that the team should focus on in the next patch, which would then be 2.02, probably somewhere next year? I want to give praise to the team for the hotkeys, for the general direction, but also some criticism, as you heard, so it's a bit of a mixed bag. I'm very, very, very thankful for the hotkeys version 1 now, and I hope we can see a version 1.5 or even 2 in the near future. After waiting a day for the hotfix, I can say I'm pretty pleased with what we got, and of course I want to hear from you. There was a little leak, by the way, when they pushed out the update yesterday, and we will report about that in another video. So you should hit the sub button to not miss that, because there's some interesting stuff in there about the development of Warcraft 3 Reforged. See you later. Take care. Bye bye.